What if I told you that you could learn a new skill in just 20 hours of focused practice? Forget the old myth that mastering a skill takes 10,000 hours. In the first 20 hours, Josh Kaufman breaks down a simple and effective framework for learning anything quickly and efficiently. He argues that the first 20 hours of practice are crucial for building competency, and that with the right approach, you can pick up new skills faster than you ever thought possible. In this audiobook summary by AudiblePages, we'll explore the author's strategies for deconstructing skills, eliminating distractions, and practicing deliberately. You'll learn how to set specific goals, break down complex skills into manageable parts, and keep yourself motivated. By the end, you'll have a blueprint for mastering any skill in record time. Chapter 1. The 10,000-Hour Rule. Myth. The author begins by debunking the 10,000-hour rule, popularized by Malcolm Gladwell, which suggests that true mastery requires 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. While that may be true for world-class expertise, the author explains that becoming proficient enough to enjoy a skill or use it effectively doesn't take nearly as long. The key is to focus on getting good enough to achieve your goals, not perfecting the skill. Think about how often the idea of 10,000 hours has discouraged you from trying something new. The author teaches that you can become surprisingly competent in a fraction of that time. Shift your mindset from trying to achieve mastery to aiming for competence. Remember, you don't have to be perfect to enjoy or benefit from a skill. Chapter 2. The 20-Hour Framework. The author introduces his 20-hour framework for rapid skill acquisition. He emphasizes that 20 hours of focused practice, when done correctly, is enough to become proficient. The framework consists of 5 key principles: choosing a skill, deconstructing it, learning just enough to self-correct, removing distractions, and practicing deliberately. Consider how much more motivated you'd be to learn if you knew it would only take 20 hours to get good at something. The author teaches that the right approach makes all the difference. Choose a skill you're passionate about and commit to practicing for 20 hours. Use the author's framework to structure your learning and maximize your progress. Chapter 3. Choosing a skill. The author emphasizes the importance of choosing the right skill to learn. He suggests picking something that excites you, benefits your life, or fulfills a personal or professional goal. The more motivated you are, the easier it will be to dedicate time to practice. The author also encourages considering the long-term impact of mastering the skill. Think about how much more fulfilling it is to learn something that genuinely excites you. The author teaches that passion and purpose fuel your commitment. Write down a list of skills you want to learn and rank them based on your interest and the potential benefits. Pick one skill to start with and commit to it for 20 hours. Chapter 4. Deconstructing the skill. The author explains how to deconstruct a skill into smaller, manageable parts. By breaking down a skill into its essential components, you can focus on practicing the most important aspects first. This approach accelerates your learning and prevents overwhelm. The author provides examples of how to deconstruct skills, like playing an instrument or learning a new language. Consider how much easier it is to learn something when it's broken down into steps. The author teaches that simplifying a skill makes it less intimidating and more actionable. Take the skill you've chosen and break it down into its core components. Identify the elements that will have the biggest impact on your overall progress and prioritize practicing those first. Chapter 5. Learn just enough to self-correct. The author emphasizes the importance of learning just enough to self-correct. You don't need to know everything about a skill before you start practicing, but you should learn enough to identify and fix mistakes. He suggests finding resources like books, videos, or mentors to guide you and help you avoid common pitfalls. Think about how much more confident you'd feel if you could correct your mistakes as you practice. The author teaches that self-correction accelerates learning and builds competence. Spend a short amount of time studying the basics of your chosen skill. Focus on learning enough to recognize when you're making mistakes and how to correct them. Chapter 6. Removing barriers and distractions. The author explains how distractions and barriers can derail your practice sessions. He suggests creating an environment that minimizes interruptions and makes it easy to focus. This might mean turning off your phone, finding a quiet space, or scheduling dedicated practice time. The goal is to make your practice sessions as effective as possible. Think about how much more progress you'd make if you practiced without distractions. The author teaches that focus and consistency are essential for rapid skill acquisition. Identify the biggest distractions in your environment and take steps to eliminate them. Create a dedicated practice space and set specific times to work on your skill without interruption. Chapter 7. Deliberate Practice. The author emphasizes the importance of deliberate practice, which means practicing with intention and focus. He explains that simply going through the motions won't lead to improvement. Instead, you should practice with a clear goal, track your progress, and push yourself just beyond your comfort zone. This kind of practice leads to faster learning and better results. Consider how much faster you'd learn if you practice deliberately. The author teaches that quality practice is more important than quantity. Set a clear goal for each practice session and measure your progress. Focus on improving specific aspects of the skill, and don't be afraid to challenge yourself. Chapter 8. The Power of Persistence. The author concludes by discussing the importance of persistence in achieving your learning goals. He explains that the first few hours of practice are often the most challenging because progress may seem slow. However, if you push through the initial frustration, you'll start to see significant improvements. The key is to stay committed and celebrate small wins along the way. Think about how rewarding it will be to see your progress after just 20 hours of practice. The author teaches that persistence pays off, and the effort is well worth it. Track your practice hours and reward yourself for milestones, such as completing your first 5 hours. Remember that the initial struggle is part of the process, and stay committed to your 20-hour goal. Practical advice and wrap-up. Josh Kaufman's The First 20 Hours is a game-changing approach to learning new skills quickly and efficiently. By following his framework, choosing the right skill, deconstructing it, learning just enough to self-correct, eliminating distractions, and practicing deliberately, you can become proficient in just 20 hours. Remember, you don't have to be an expert to benefit from a new skill. You just need to be good enough to enjoy and use it. Start today by choosing a skill you're excited about and committing to 20 hours of focused practice. With the right mindset and strategies, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve.